Hello everybody, and welcome to, as if you haven't figured it out, Marvin Gardens May 2025. And it's a lovely May day out here. I've even got my summer or warm weather straw hat on. I'm not wearing any kind of a jacket or anything. It's probably in the low 70s. And the only thing that isn't totally delightful about it is that it's overcast and cloudy. But that's okay. We don't mind. And it's an incredible difference between the garden of the April garden video and the garden of the May garden video. So let's take a look around and see what's happening. First of all, there's Mr. Franklin, and you can see he's still wearing an e-collar. And it's a hard plastic e-collar because we had to go to the vision specialist to keep treating this condition, and they recommended this collar rather than the softer collar. So that's what we've been doing, right, boy? And his eyes are improving, but it's a slow process of drops and ointments and everything else. Oh, he's going to get a little drink. And that's nice. Anyway, meanwhile, to get the garden tour going, garlic chives or Asian leeks. They're coming in just fine. The rest of this the rest of this bed is dominated by yellow pond irises, some of which are blooming, some of which have passed bloom. And I rescued the last purple iris from that vacancy right down there. And we'll see it later in the pond. The greenhouse still got a lot of stuff that we may want to put out, and the only plants we got here are Brussels sprouts that I've got here. I'm not sure why the seed packet called for starting them so late, but like I said before in the last video, I'm just going what the seed packets say, and so they're not quite big enough to go into the ground yet, but they will be soon enough. Not much to look at in the hanging basket categories, although I do have some cucumbers growing here. Hopefully they'll do okay. But in bed one, that is a healthy row of radishes, freshly thinned. These are 2 rows of carrots, the first planting of which was a total failure, because you can see that that's a carrot plant, and there should be a whole row of them. I don't know why they didn't do what they were supposed to do. But I have since replanted that row, so we'll see. Also, this is a freshly planted additional row of daikon radishes, and so hopefully they'll be up in a couple of days or 2. The rest of these are You got some broccoli, you got some cauliflower, you got mini broccoli, which I have to go back and look and see. Looks like I've allowed those to flower, and they're probably not supposed to flower. They probably should be snipped off, but I just don't know. I don't know about them. I don't know if snipping them off, new shoots come up or what. Anyway, now here's a major improvement in my lettuce planting. You can see that there's 9, 3 of each variety, that are pretty much ready to be harvested. And then there are another 9 that I just planted that's supposed to be the staggered harvest. And I'm going to plant another 9, or start another 9 inside not too far from now. So hopefully we'll be able to use our lettuce effectively and not have too many to use at one time. These are red cabbage. They're 2 varieties. And then next to the red cabbage we have pole beans, as that sign right there might tell you. Let me see. Can I get that in focus? Who knows? I don't know. I can't see well enough to tell. But then back to the herb garden here, and we're starting at this end. So if you look down here real closely, you can see a bunch of sprouts coming up, and those are supposed to be dill. This is winter time, and it's blooming. I'm not sure whether blooming time is good to harvest, or it's not as good as just pre-bloom, but we'll harvest it anyway. This is rosemary. Some of the plants are doing better than others. This is common sage, doing fairly well. This is parsley, and you can see some of them are yellowish, but some of them are bright green and nice. And this is basil, and it's also, like, I would expect it to be bushy and green, and it's kind of anemic and almost yellowish, but that's okay. We'll see what happens. This is Greek oregano, except for this clover here, which doesn't really need to be here. Let me see if I can just grab that real quick. This wintered over, and it's looking quite good. And these are chives. I planted from seed a variety of chives to fill in where the quote-unquote unknown chives were, and they're doing fine. In fact, as is typical for maize, some of them are blooming, so that's nice. And of course, on the end here is Asian leeks / garlic chives. So there's that happening. As you can see around here, this is yellow pond iris blooming season. Even in the Pet Memorial area, they're just all over the place. And believe it or not, these are all from one clump of pond irises that I picked up at, I don't know, some gardening store. And they've multiplied into all these plants. Oh, guess who's back in the compost heap? Mr. Ranger. All right, now he's knocked down the fence in order to get in there, so at least he can get out easily. And like I've said before, um, there's nothing in there that can bother a dog, so I'm not too concerned about it. Mr. Franklin is doing his typical march with his e-collar, and that brings us to this. Oh my goodness! Yes, we have a new greenhouse, and boy was this a project. This thing, it's well engineered, but it was just a bear to put together, especially when you're trying to do it yourself. But it's up, and as you can see, if I can get this in so that it focuses on what's in there, I have Waltham butternut winter squash, and in the foreground there is, or I should say are, cucumbers, because Vanina wanted to do some cucumbering this year. Now Frankie's walking through and across a row of okra, a row of tomatoes, and look at that, look at the tomatoes on the far end. For some reason they're much bigger than on the near end. I don't know why, but that's okay. And then this is another row of tomatoes, followed by eggplant, which could be looking better, but hopefully they'll recover. I just fed everything out here, so the fertilizer. And then we've got 4 or 5 rows of peppers and 3 rows of summer squash, all doing okay. That brings us to bed 3, and this is a couple of rows of sunflowers. We also have some sunflowers off the back deck. I'll show you later. This big vacancy here is for the Brussels sprouts, which were in the greenhouse, and so they'll be going in there. And not too, as soon as they get big enough to be in the open garden. Those 2 rows are celery, which we tried once before, and we're going to try again this year. And I don't think I'm going to try to blanch them, because that just seemed to produce more problems than it was worth. And you might see a couple of volunteer sunflowers in there. Next row is lavender, which is looking very unimpressive, as is these sunball flowers. I mean, the one that's coming in does look okay. Am I on it? I think I'm on it. I don't know if I'm focused on it. Anyway, I tried. And then there's a row of calendula planted from seed coming up. Some straw flowers that were started indoors coming up. Another row of calendula just direct seeded, and another row of straw flowers. So that's what's going on there. And of course, yellow pond irises blooming happily. There's some over there too. This bed is empty except for a couple of things that need to be weeded out of there, because it's going to be corn, as you may recall, and it's going to be sugar buns corn. But I'm not going to even start the seed until June 1st. And by the way, this is the day after Memorial Day. And there's a lot of lovely yellow pond irises. Here's a sundial, which really isn't much good when the sun isn't out. But I put it up on a pedestal, and it does work when the sun's out. Now, that brings us to bed 5, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is where we decided to plant onions this year. And they're not doing too badly. They always grow slow. This is something that needs to be pulled out of here, so I'll do it while I'm here. But we got several rows of onions, 3 varieties, and they're not doing too badly, and certainly not disasters like we had a year or 2 ago. And then that's followed by a couple of rows of scallions and leeks, which don't look so great, but they should recover nicely. Like I said, I just fed everything. The reason all these cattail leaves are on the ground is because Ranger has a taste for them, and we, as part of our Memorial Day celebration, had a nice fire pit last night. Probably got some pictures to show you, and part of his celebration was chomping down on the cattails. So there's our Waltham butternut from the other side, and now on the far side is the cucumbers. We've got high hopes for them, but still we're very happy that this thing is finally constructed. As I back up to get the whole thing, including the screens that we added, because we don't really use it as a greenhouse as much as a grow house, and so the doors stay open all the time, but we try to keep the bugs out, so that's why we added the screens. Now, that brings us to the marsh, and the cattails are ever expanding. In fact, we're having to cut a lot of them down in order to at least keep a buffer zone between the cattails and the asparagus patch. And the asparagus patch is looking pretty good. I went in there and staked everything up. We've got the thistles under control, although it's time to probably go in there and weed them again. And I haven't harvested one asparagus stalk yet. I'm kind of deciding to just let this be a rebuilding season for the asparagus. Now, that brings us back to the fire pit area. Nice umbrella. Like I said, last night we had ourselves the first fire pit of the season, and that's all that's left of the fire right there. There's that big chunk of charcoal. But we had a good time, and we followed that by grilling tomahawk steaks up on the deck. Now, the hammock, I've got the sort of fix for the broken board clamped into place, but I haven't finished that repair. And the hammock is looking a little, well, neglected. And we got our water features going. Still have not put any pumps in there, but you can see that the purple pond irises that are planted in there are doing fine. I'm going to have to do something else with this planter right here because ain't nothing coming up. So whatever that was, they ain't happening. So I don't know, we'll figure that one out later. Also, well, this water feature is sort of being surrounded by honeysuckle vines, but it looks like it's got a purple iris blooming, and this grassy stuff seems to be doing pretty well. So we might need to reformat whatever is happening with that guy. What else back here? Well, I can show you that this is kind of a no man's land where we piled fallen branches, but also we've got a mint field there. And I just noticed there happens to be a nice dianthus blooming there, so that's nice. And Vanina's been working this area with succulents and stuff like that. That was supposed to go down. And she's got succulents going in this planter here. Plus, I've got my peppermint mint, which I'm still planning to use for chocolate chip mint ice cream, homemade, when I get a chance. I have not gone out and bought the annuals yet that I typically buy, which would be like impatiens in here. However, I've got a lot of maple trees growing in there, so I'm thinking maybe I'll plant them out back. Not looking so great, but surviving are the poinsettias that I got for Christmas, and hopefully they'll do okay out here. They should. And Vanina's got some more succulents going here. The cone flowers are coming up. We've kind of tied up the daffodils so that they can continue to feed the bulbs below. Not a whole lot going on with the pond, but as you can see there, there's a bunch of little lily pads coming up from that pot of water lilies, and from the deepest one there are a few more coming up, so that's always a promising sign. However, you'll notice that the waterfall is not producing much of a waterfall. That's because I still need to backflush the filter and vacuum up all the leaves out of the bottom, because I've just haven't gotten to it yet. What I did get to, as I alluded to earlier, was planting those purple irises that were being crowded out by the yellow irises by the greenhouse in that pot, and I think they'll be happy there, and they'll continue to come up there. Other than that, still we've got a bunch of succulents and perennials greening up around the waterfall there, but like I said, still need to work on the pond area to get it spiffed up for the season. Lots of pond irises, yellow pond irises, blooming over here in the overflow tub. Those will probably be going outside somewhere. I'm outside. I meant out back somewhere. And these are courtesy of Vanina, and as you can probably see, they're getting ready to bloom a little bit. Our dianthus, the name of which I couldn't remember last time around, are in full bloom now around the wishing well, and so that's nice. I don't think we had any casualties, and got some more over here in the the stoneware pots, and if you can tell, these are sunflowers. I planted a row of them back out here. More dianthus and some weeds, and then the dianthus in this pot didn't do as well. There's some coming in, but I might augment them. But this pot that's buried, surrounded by tiger lilies, is doing pretty well, actually. And so we're always glad to see the dianthus coming back, even though those aren't supposed to be perennials. They're supposed to be annuals. All right, so let me try this tricky thing, which is trying to get some pears in focus. We have lots of pears here, and who knows if they'll stick around. But I did trim the pear tree so that all the suckers were removed, and that brings us to the rather pathetic still nectarine tree. But as you can see, we do have some nectarines, but it's very early. I still have some dead wood like that right there to get rid of, so we'll see what happens. Same thing with the peach tree here. Lots of possible peaches. I don't know if any of them are coming into focus, but like that one right there, look promising, but again, it's very early, and lots of times they just drop off involuntarily, and we end up with nothing. So we'll see. I also have some dead wood to take care of off this tree, and then it's a matter of keeping our fingers crossed to see if indeed we get anything from our stone fruit trees, which have been really less than impressive. I think I need to plant new ones in a different location. But I don't know. That's about it. I said hopefully we'll get caught up in May. We are pretty much caught up, at least with the planting, because all the planting is up to date. I just did the radishes and the carrots, the replanting of the carrots and stuff. But the next thing that's due technically isn't really due until June 1st, and we're not there yet because we're the day after Memorial Day, which is, I think today's the 27th. Don't hold me to that. So June 1st, I'm going to start the third planting of lettuce in my staggered planting, and that's when we're going to plant the corn inside under the lights. And a week or two after that, it should be ready to go in the ground. We haven't had the only real casualties we've had is the failure of the carrots to come up. I've had that happen before too. When I plant them from seed and they just only a few come up in the whole row. But we got a new row planted, and if these don't come up, then I'm just going to try to start them in flats under the lights, which you really don't want to do with carrots, but I don't know what else to do. But that's it, really. Frankie's here walking around, thinking that maybe he's ready to go inside. I don't know where Ranger is. He might still be in the compost heap. But anyway, I'm, as usual, rambling. We got a great May going. We are pretty much caught up with the garden, though we still have a lot of pond work to do, and I still gotta do other stuff for the transition of cold weather to warm weather that are totally not related to the garden at all. But I'm feeling a little better about being caught up, at least with the garden. Thankfully, got that greenhouse completed. It just was a huge project compared to what I thought it was going to be. But it's done, and everything's planted inside, and it's looking pretty good. So we'll see how it does with the Waltham butternut squash and cucumbers that are in there. You'll probably hear my neighbor in the background mowing. We've been mowing like crazy too, even though in many areas it's just too wet. And in the next few days we're supposed to get another 1 to 2 inches. But it's a beautiful day here, if a bit overcast and cloudy, but very comfortable out here. The air's moving a little bit, but not much. We had a great fire pit and barbecue for Memorial Day, and I guess all that's left to say is we hope you are having a great, or had a great Memorial Day weekend, and are enjoying the unofficial kickoff to summer as we are. So that's going to do it from Marvin in Marvin Gardens, May 2025. And we'll see you next month when this will turn into a real garden with like harvesting and all that good stuff. Okay? So we'll talk to you later. Hope you're having a great beginning of summer, and we'll see you next month in June. Bye, y'all. August. April 16th.